Hello, welcome to the webinar. I don't know why I'm doing that. Like you can see,
I look like I've got a large block halo over my
I
head.
see a little blockhead. Let's keep it serious. Remember, this is being recorded.
Professional.
So, hopefully, you can hear us. Hopefully, you can see us, and hopefully, you can see the slide that says "Welcome to the webinar." If you can, find the text box and just let us know that you can see us, hear us, see the slide with our beautiful faces on. What's Fenton doing? Fenton's got a squeaky toy that Joe's just taken off him. So we're waiting on, if you can see us, because we've got a beautiful new microphone. We've got some beautiful new lights. So we want to know that you can see our... Hi, Sarah. Good. So we've got one person not in front of the microphone.
That was a cough. I'm sure.
Loogie. So we'll just give it a couple of minutes for a few more people to join us because we've got plenty of people registered, and then we shall start cracking on. Just give him his toy back.
It's annoying though.
It's not that annoying. Freddy's got a little squeaky toy. It's his new toy. Jane bought him. Your mum's going to tell us off. Tell us off for this. We can see our beautiful halo.
Really?
Hi, Catherine.
Perfect. How many people? 10,000. Wow.
Basically, this is very similar to Live Aid.
Are you as old as Bono?
Going live over the country.
Certainly heavier.
How dare you? What have you and Bono got in common?
No personality?
I don't like either of you.
That's my next guess.
Right. You ready?
I think so.
We've got a bit of housekeeping first, anyway, won't we?
Mm-hmm.
So before we get started, we want to know who are you and where are you from? So let's get to know each other. We're going to spend the next 45 minutes with each other. So there's going to be a bit of audience participation where we'll be asking you some questions and giving you some answers as well. So obviously we'll know who we're speaking to. And if you don't comment, then I will call you out because I can see who's on the call. So who are you? I can't. Yeah. Who are you? Where are you from?
Worried about getting called out. If I had done this when I did my talks at secondary schools, there would have been an awful lot of silence because I was doing talks at my old secondary school with 15, 16, 17-year-olds, and they were very, very uninterested in talking in front of their friends.
Probably just very uninterested in your talk. Right, so far we've got Catherine from Northern Ireland. I will not upset you by doing a horrific Irish accent, which I'm sure most people do.
Well, I'm on the cusp.
I'll just turn into a dodgy Scottish one. Cotswolds from Sarah.
Isn't the Cotswolds really nice?
Ask her.
Isn't it really nice? Sarah from Cumbria.
Cumbria, beautiful.
Matt from Bourne.
Oh, I got confused. I thought that was your second name.
Yes, it's beautiful, good stuff. So's Yorkshire, parts of it anyway. Not so
country.
Not so much where we are now, but most of it.
The beautiful Bramley.
It's all right. It's so-so. It's not a highlight, is it?
I don't care. You know, as long as we're together.
I mean, the Aldi's nice, but other than that, not so much.
I should have really got a drink.
Would you like one?
I'm all right, thank you.
Get you a juice.
Frosty.
Isha. You got that right? The fact that you've pronounced Trisha without the TR completely threw me and James. Yes, winner.
Oh, killed it.
Buckinghamshire. I had a friend called Ieuan, which is spelled I-E-U-A-N, which used to throw all the teachers at our school off something chronic.
James has a silent P in it right at the start. PF. PFJ. You good?
Oh, yeah.
Don't die on me.
I'm trying to think of what's that one where it says, someone says, I spell Stephen with a PH, and it says P-H-T-E-V-N. Oh, man, I love that. You've not seen that before.
Is it himself?
Brilliant.
Right, so moving on. What are you hoping to get from this? So you have willingly given up, 45 minutes, an hour of your time to spend with us on this Wednesday morning. What are you hoping to get from this? So by the end of this, what are you hoping to have learned or be confirmed? Why are you so close to me?
I'm not sure I wasn't in the shot or not. So what do you struggle with? What is it that has pricked your interest about this webinar?
Yeah, so obviously it's breaking the diet trap. So presumably you'll have all been on diets before. Some more successful than others, but then there'll be some reason why you're still looking at dieting or, you know, kind of improving your physique, lowering your body fat, etc. There we go. Fenton has managed to get through his toy already. These little gnashers. So he keeps those pearly whites. So yeah, so stop getting distracted by the dog. What are you hoping to get from this? Like, kind of, why have you registered? What's, as Joe said, pricked your interest?
Thought that was quite an apt word to use. Monsieur.
So we're not going to move on until you answer this question. Just so you know, I've got all day.
That's how it works. Apparently, is that you don't say anything and you just look at the kids until they until one of them breaks from awkwardness.
Absolute silence. Benson.
Maintaining weight, maintaining without regaining, eventually. Okay, so a period of maintaining your weight makes sense. Isha, nailed it. Each week, I'm consistently putting on and losing the same 2 kilos. I just want to move forward somehow.
Cool. Yeah, we got you covered. Don't you worry. Fenton's backing up like he's about to leap onto the table.
Onto my throat. Sarah says, consistency is something that I've always struggled with. And another lovely Sarah says, I'm tired of my all or nothing mindset. Changing jobs at the end of April for better work-life balance. So I'm hoping to crack the consistency then. Some interesting points in that. Good stuff. Some stuff I could cover at the end. Happy?
Yes.
Someone's typing. I want to jump in. Probably not.
There'll be plenty of time for you to talk to us, don't worry. So, who are we and what do we do? I'm James of Silent P.
And I'm Joe, and we set up Sustain Nutrition just over nearly 3.5 years ago now.
It is, yeah, it's knocking on.
So, we worked as personal trainers based in Leeds. We worked at a few different gyms. I think I've been a PT for like 5 years and you've done something like 25.
72. 72 years, man and boy.
And then we had the idea that you could help
You had
people.
the idea, Joe. Come on.
I know, I just want you to say that. I need to remind you of it. Is that a friend of mine said, I'm looking to lose some weight. And I said, it'd be really good if you could log your food with me every day. And I thought, that's not a bad idea. So here we are 3.5 years later with loads of transformations and testimonials and successful clients and a belief from both of us that we have a bigger impact now than we ever did as personal trainers, because people need that level of support consistently to be effective, and that an hour a week is not sufficient for most people. You're better spending that time split over the course of a week and helping them look at where it is that they struggle with their food, and that, you know, you can get massive results by focusing on that.
Yeah, 100%. I think where we differ massively is we look at what goes on with your food choices. It's not so much kind of dictating what people should eat, although we do give people obviously a set of parameters. It's the coaching part that really kind of sets us apart from just finding a meal plan or speaking to someone for a very specific meal plan that has so many grams of this and so many grams of that, have this at this time, have this pre-workout. Is kind of looking at, you know, fixing where you go wrong, kind of fixing the issues that have caused you to continuously be on a diet. You know, some of the issues that were raised there where people kind of gain and lose the same 2 kilograms, then, you know, me giving you, 1,700 calories a day is not going to fix that, because you need to look at the reasons why you don't follow the 1,700 calories a day.
Yeah, because there's obviously a week that you can do it and a week that you can't do it. So I like the phrase of, you know, you're painting the leaves green. So if you've got a tree and it's dying and the leaves are brown, then you wouldn't just paint the leaves green and assume everything's okay. And that's ultimately what following a diet plan does. You don't look at where you struggled before, and you don't fix the root issues. And that's what we always try to do with regards our questioning of people and our coaching of our clients, and a lot of the resources that we put out there and things like this as well. Is this what we really believe is going to help people and makes a big difference? So that's what we're doing.
Yeah. And obviously Fenton as well, who's
the real draw here.
The sausage dog, you can see on the picture if you've not seen him before, he's got very short legs, but he appears to be trying to leap up to a desk at the moment. Cool. Right, so this is what we're going to teach you. This is what we're going to go through today. This is what you're going to be learning. Where and why you struggle. So obviously this is going to be coming a lot from you. We're going to kind of pose the questions. We don't necessarily have the specific answers for you, but we can ask the right questions which will get you the correct answers. That makes sense. So where and why you struggle. So that's going to be different for lots of people, but there will be very common threads that go through that. How to create a fat loss blueprint, your fat loss bucket list, which confused Joe and I sent him the slides. What is needed to create your perfect diet, and how to get started straight away. Sound good? Everyone with me still? Still with me? So here is one of our past clients. So we're going to teach you the same techniques that we use with our clients, and kind of a looser coaching, obviously, because it's a group environment at the moment. But this is kind of stuff we do one-on-one with our clients. So Sue says, I've never felt deprived of anything. I've continued with my social life, just made different choices and straight back on plan the next day. I can honestly say at 50 years old, I've never felt happy with my body, which is obviously super positive. So I think one of the issues, before we move on, that people often have with the dieting is they try and fit around a certain, diet plan, be that, keto or paleo or Weight Watchers, Slimming World, whatever it is, calorie counting. And the more you try and fit around something, then the bigger struggle it's going to be, because that's, further away from what you normally do in your normal behaviors. So creating something that fits around you is a big part of kind of what we do as Sustain. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be improved on what you're doing and work for you. So, some systems will ban eating, carbohydrates. So say keto, whatever. But eating, a couple of slices of bread a week or even a day is not going to make you fat. It's not going to make you gain weight. So if that works for you, then that works for you. So you just got to find what works for you whilst getting, how many times have I said working for you there? Whilst getting the results that you want.
It's trying to make as fewer changes as needed to be successful, because if you have to change everything, then it's very, very hard for people to do, because it's going to require a massive change in their thought processes, in their habits, in their actions. It's too much for people to handle. So you need to look at making either small changes initially, or just making the one change that's going to have the biggest impact for you. So James mentioned with keto there, if you love eating carbs, then I'm not going to recommend anyone go keto, because it's too much of a change from your norm, and it's not likely something to be stuck with longer term. So you just need to, and this is why just following a blanket approach isn't necessarily overly effective, because it's not looking at what you do at the moment and not looking at where you struggle.
Yeah, so that's what we want to know now, is kind of where are you struggling? What is your number one struggle? Where do you feel you need the most help? So there's got to be something that's stopping you getting for the results that you want. So yeah, what the hell is it? So then obviously we can kind of direct what we teach you to be more specific to you guys that have turned up. If you're watching the recording, sorry, you won't get to ask questions. But yeah, so we want to know where you struggle, because again, it's going to be very individual, but there's going to be very common themes that run through that we can help you with. So what's holding you back from getting to your goals? We're not moving on until we've had at least 6 comments.
One person can put 6 comments.
Please don't do that.
If needed.
One word at a time. Wait for it. Want to see some fast typing?
We're going to have to make up 6 if we don't get 6.
Oh,
John from Barnsley. What a belter.
It's these sausage dogs always eating his food. Weekends from Alison.
Perfect.
Weekends I slept. Okay, good. So again, that's a very common one. Feeding fussy haters. Wine.
Okay, any more than one day off plan. So the suggestion that people have off plan food one day and then it kind of spirals, and then people have more and more snacking when not hungry. Interesting one.
Stress from children. Nightmare. Send them off to boarding school. Problem solved.
Don't get hungry. I often don't eat until dinner, but I'm trying to eat breakfast now. I ate before you started. It's just quick things to eat, remembering to eat. Yeah, so it's quite a common one there as well. I struggle to get out of the habit of going off plan at weekend, as I have very little routine / time.
Catherine says that boarding school won't take her kids. I blame the parents. You start cracking on a couple of these?
Go for it.
Right, so I'd go straight with Sarah's one there. So she says she doesn't get hungry. She often doesn't eat breakfast or eat until dinner. But I'm trying to eat breakfast now before you start. But it's just quick things to eat and remember. So I'd ask, kind of why do you feel that you need to eat breakfast, and then kind of what happens at dinner time? Because often when we get really, really hungry, that's when we'll go to kind of poor choice foods. It's almost like being drunk. So there's no specific need to eat breakfast. It won't damage your metabolism. It won't put you into starvation mode. Some people just don't like eating as soon as they get up, and that's fine. As long as we get enough nutrition over the day, then that's what we're after. And as long as kind of, there's a big trend for the intermittent fasting. If you've not checked out our podcast, make sure you do that on intermittent fasting. So you'll get some people who will force themselves to fast until, say, midday. Now, if you wake up and you're really, really hungry, then going all the way through till 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock is going to be a bit of a struggle. And it's possibly going to lead to poor choices later on. So in that case, I'd recommend that person has breakfast. But then if you don't want to eat and it doesn't lead to poor choices, then there's no necessity to eat for me.
One of the things I would put into there is that the lady said, don't get hungry until dinner. So I'm assuming that's lunch. Is that right? Or is that evening meal?
It just depends where you're from in the world.
But what you often see, and the other comment there someone put about snacking, I can kind of tie in together, is if people wait too long to eat something, then they eat too much, they make the wrong choices. So the issue isn't so much snacking. I have 5 meals a day. So you could technically say that that's 2 snacks. It's 3 meals and 2 snacks. A snack is just what you make of it. So it's going to be the food choice that you have. Because if you eat, if you snack on asparagus and cod, then you're not going to get overweight. It's more the choices that you make, and it's trying to look at different parts of this. So you've got the education side. So is your food currently setting you up to make the right choices at dinner and the right choices as snacks, or is it making it harder? So if someone has a smoothie for breakfast and a soup for lunch, then they're just not taking in very much solid food. They're not taking in very many calories. They're not taking in very many carbs. So it's going to be really, really easy for then you to overdo that evening meal or your snacks because your blood sugar's low. Your body going to be desperate. You're going to be crying out for these decisions, for these foods that aren't optimal for your goal. So we need to look at then the education side, which is making sure that you eat the right amount, and then also the mindset side of how to keep you focused at these times and finding the right solutions for you.
Yeah, we'll go for a couple more because we're going to cover some more stuff later on, especially with the bucket list. So yeah, so snacking for when not hungry, then I'd look specifically at the snacks that you're choosing, because like Joe said, there's a massive difference between eating chocolate covered peanuts, M&Ms, peanut M&Ms, over
chocolate covered M&Ms. They exist now. The chocolate's on the inside, isn't it?
I don't know.
Let's go to the shop.
And then eating an apple or something like that, because one of them you might eat because you're hungry or because you want something, and the other thing you might eat due to boredom or because you want to get some kind of pleasure from it.
Yeah, he said then, I missed it as well, but not hungry, then why are you snacking? So then you need to look at
there's going to be a reason,
what the reason is, and then how can you find that. Someone mentioned a good one, I get any more than 1 day off plan. It's quite common that you see people have, we see it quite a lot today. I've seen it a bit more recently, where people have like 2 biscuits and they blow 3 days because they feel like they've failed. So the first thing is to be more realistic with yourself, work out the calories on 2 biscuits or a meal out or whatever. One of my clients was getting really frustrated about having a slice of bread. I said, well, if you'd had 2 bananas, I wouldn't have.
This is I was thinking I would say with if you had a spoonful of peanut butter.
Yeah, it's the same calories, so it doesn't really matter. So you need to actually look at, obviously it's not going to be optimal if you're having lots of bread because it's going to be faster acting. It's not going to keep you very full. But if you have 1 slice, it's 100 calories, then you just throwing the baby out of the bathwater. So you need to keep that in mind first. If you find that it's the next day that's the main issue, then plan your food better. So one thing I say, if someone's going out for lunch, then plan your dinner, plan some snacks, plan the morning, plan the next day. I've just made it sound like quite a lot, but actually it's only a few meals you've got to decide what to eat. If those decisions are already made and the food's there, then it's going to be much easier to stay on plan. Whereas if you go out for lunch, you come home and go, what shall I eat now? Well, I've already had a big lunch, and people just go off on a rampage. So you need to find a way to plan and to find solutions ahead of time for me.
Yeah, cool. Let's move on.
Ooh, what's next?
I don't know. I can't find my cursor. I don't know where we're in. Right, so some of the real common struggles that we see with people, and some of the stuff you guys have kind of brought up is going to be frustration, overwhelm, you've gone too strict, or you're all or nothing. So people often get frustrated by no progress or slow progress. So I don't know what people are comparing themselves to, but you'll get people who lose, 1 or 2 pounds a week and for some reason expect to have lost more weight. Then that causes them to get frustration. They just go, well, even if the weight doesn't move on the scales, and then they'll just go, well, what's the point? And then go back to their old behaviors. Anything to add on that?
Yeah, I think it's quite a good one to look at how many weeks you've had where you've gained weight or you've maintained to get to where you are now. And odds on it's going to be in the hundreds. You'll have had hundreds of weeks where you've not lost anything or you've added weight to get to where you are now. So 1 week of staying the same or 1 week of losing a pound, it's cool. You need to focus on the process. You need to look at doing the right actions. It's if you lose a pound a week, it's nearly 4 stone a year. We have very, very few clients who lose 4 stone a year
and keep it off.
Yeah. So just plug away with those pounds and just be realistic with it. What are you actually expecting to lose? You know, I've said before to people to keep your expectations in the realms of reality, because it's really nice that, you know, some people do lose £10, but you need to ask where they're coming from. As, you know, I see a lot of stuff in the Slimming World groups, because I like to keep an eye on it, where people lose £12 in a week, and everyone's like, oh, I want that. But what if they're 5 stone heavier than you?
Yeah.
It's completely irrelevant. If you're 10 stone, you're not going to lose £12 in a week. The only people who lose those kind of numbers are people who are carrying a lot of water or people who are very big. So be realistic. You're letting yourself get frustrated over something very silly, ultimately. Last one, and I'll shut up. It's separating fact from emotion. The fact is you've lost a pound. You can then choose.
Made progress.
You can then choose for that to be frustrating or a win. Should be a win. It is a win. It's 3 stone, £10 over the course of a year. Take a step back, take a deep breath, and pat yourself on the back for doing well.
Yeah, it's a great amount to lose. And like I said, it's just that comparison. What are you comparing to? Like, I drive a Ford Mondeo. If I compare that to a F1 car, it's super, super slow, but it doesn't mean it's a bad car. Doesn't mean it won't get me to where I want to go. So it's just who you're comparing yourself to. Like Joe said, you know, when was the last time that you lost 3.5 stone over a year? Never.
Oh, yeah, so few people, isn't it, who
Yeah.
achieve those results. And it's a tough one. You know, I'm in these Slimming World groups, and you see these awesome photos, and you believe from that there's a lot of people losing this much weight. But it's not. You know, it's in a group of 100,000 people. How many people there are looking like those before photos, not getting anywhere? Tens of thousands, probably. So you just need to be realistic with yourself.
Yeah, and I think, you know, just to flip it on its head, people think that losing a pound is really, really slow progress. But if you gain a pound, then it's absolutely the end of the world. Like, you're piling on the weight. And, you know, like Joe said, you need to concentrate on the process. And, you know, quite often we'll see when people weigh in and they get frustrated by, you know, whatever the weight says, they'll start off by saying, I've eaten really, really well this week. You know, I've made much better choices than I've done previously. People have been complimenting me on, you know, how I'm looking. My energy's much better. I'm sleeping much better. Like a list of 10 positives. And then it'll be like, but, which obviously means cancel out everything that went before it. I'm really frustrated due to, you know, I'm making slow progress. And it's just crazy.
It's so hard as a coach, because you can see people making the right steps, and then the way that they talk is basically putting their car in reverse or turning it around and going the opposite direction. So you need to, your gut instincts might be, I've only lost a pound. Then you need to focus and to apply a bit of willpower and to do the right actions, the things that we mentioned there.
Yeah, just be sensible. So next one, overwhelmed. So there's so much kind of information out in the world. That's why dieting, you know, the diet industry is like £1 billion industry. So there's so many different plans that people get very confused. You know, do I need to go low fat, low carb, high carb? Do I need to fast? Do I need to do shakes? Do I need to do a juice cleanse? Do I need to drink aloe vera? You know, and that's often where people will kind of plan hop. So we'll do something, you know, maybe for a couple of weeks, get frustrated or hear that someone else is doing better than them on a different plan and switch to that. So this whole kind of industry bombardment of different things, you know, skinny teas and I want to say boombox, but that's the wrong thing, whatever it is. Boombox, that's it. You know, all these different things and ketones, and yada, yada. You know, it's massively overwhelming. You literally don't know where to turn. And that's, you know, something that can really kind of stop people from making progress.
I think you just need to look at what it is that you're struggling with and then find a solution around that. And just to be realistic, because most of the time there's going to be 1 or 2 times a week when you consume a lot more calories than you need. People often say, you know, I'm really good, but, well, it's the but we need to work on. Then you don't need to look at all the minor details and to stress yourself out over weighing your food, because it's just, you know, people lost weight for decades not weighing their food and tracking their macros on MyFitnessPal. You know, you can do it now just as easily as people have done before.
Cool. So another thing that people really struggle with is being far too strict. So, you know, we've talked about
all
this.
or nothing. Someone mentioned it.
All or nothing's the next one.
Oh, sorry. I can't because you covered it up with the text one.
I think you moved there. So being too strict, so is, you know, I understand the idea of wanting fast results. You know, it's very appealing to everyone. Why would you take 6 months to get something that you want to be able to achieve in a week? But when you go too strict, it doesn't give you any sustainability to the plan. You know, there's no longevity to it. It needs to be, you know, like the anecdote of boiling a frog. You put the frog into cold water and then you slowly turn up the heat until it's boiling. It doesn't realize what's going on. It's a very kind of similar approach with diet. You want to start making the smallest amount of changes, or the smallest changes that you can do while still getting results. and then you slowly turn up that heat. But if you start off, on very few calories or very limited food choices, cutting out everything that you enjoy, like kind of wine and chocolate and cake and bread, etc., doing loads and loads of exercise, you're just going to burn out. I said this at the talk on Saturday. If I took you and I said, right, we're going to do a mile on the treadmill, I'm going to start you off at 60 miles per hour. People are going to be skidding off the back of that treadmill, me included, massively. But if I said we're going to start off at 3 miles per hour, just walking, then that's a more suitable pace. And if we want, we can turn it up a little bit. We can turn it up and get a little bit faster until we find a pace that's suitable for you. But going too strict is like jumping on that treadmill at 60 miles an hour. You're just going to...
It's great, isn't it? Because I love seeing when people are super motivated, but it's just being realistic with your abilities. I know in the past that we've both done it. I've dieted for a long period of time,
stopped all that,
finished, and then just gone straight back to where I was because it was so unsustainable and it was just too hard. So if you've done this 10 times, then you need to try something different. You can't just hope that the next strict approach is going to be the one that's going to work.
Have more willpower or more motivation.
Something's going to click in your brain because it's adaptive problems, isn't it? What's the other one?
Technical.
Yeah, you've got technical and adaptive problems. So a technical problem is like you break an arm, you put it in a cast, it gets fixed as long as it's reset properly. You only have to think about it once. An adaptive problem is something where the situations and scenarios will change. So when you're feeling super motivated, you can have one plan. When that motivation drops, or you've got more social occasions, or you've got to go away, or you're seeing different people, then that's got to adapt. You can't just have this idea that I'm going to follow 1,500 calories a day for the rest of my life, because you're just not going to be able to do it. There's going to be times when it won't work, and ultimately that feeling of failure, that feeling of overwhelm and frustration that's mentioned above, is what makes people stop. All diets work, but it needs to be something you can do for more than 4 weeks, 4 days. You see these 12-day detoxes, you just think, what a load of shit, it's just not going to work.
And then all or nothing kind of falls quite similar into the too strict approach. And kind of Joe touched on it earlier. It's when someone has a biscuit or a slice of bread, something that is not on their plan, and then that causes them to go into a tailspin. Yeah, and it's just, I think when people break it down, they realize that it's just not a sensible approach, or even like a reasonable approach. Like, say, if you eat a cookie, a biscuit, you might have 50, 60 calories, unless it's like a delicious quadruple chocolate.
If you just merge four together,
soften, just melt them. So say you have a bar of chocolate and it's 150 calories. Excuse me. All you've done is add 150 calories to your day. If you let that landslide and you end up going, well, I've ruined this day now, when then essentially you've had a spoonful of peanut butter, same amount of calories. Then instead of having one mistake or one slip, you've now got 6 or 7, you've drunk a bottle of wine, you've eaten a pizza, and instead of 150 calories extra that day, you've now consumed 1,500 calories a day. Which one is going to be better for your fat loss, for your weight loss? Which one? If you make a mistake, then you just go, right, that was a little bit of a slip. We'll address kind of why it happened later on. But I'm going to make sure that the rest of my meals are okay. It's just, like a holiday budget. If you've got a certain amount of money and you overspend on one day, you don't just go, right, well, I'm just going to spend I'm just going to spend all my money now. You go, tomorrow, I'm just going to cut back a bit. I'm going to make sure that I stick to my budget, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think all or nothing is one of the things that I'll often flag up if someone says it to me, because you're basically green lighting yourself going off plan. So it's not to be kind of nasty or critical of people that say this, because it's just something people believe, but you're not all or nothing. You're not eat well or eat really badly. And the way that phrase is built is it's quite a closed mindset. So it's suggesting that you don't have control, that once you've had a cookie, then you're going to hit that 1,500 calorie barrier, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's why it says all or nothing. But it's not true. It's just a skill that you haven't worked on yet. You're just not very good at moderating right now. And if you phrase it differently, then you give yourself a chance to be better. If you endlessly tell yourself you're all or nothing, and you have one chip off your kid's dinner plate, then you're going to be going down that route because you've already green lighted it. So I'd really recommend people don't use that phrase, because it's not true. It's just a skill that you've got to work on. And ultimately, this is what is keeping you in the diet trap, is a belief that you're either perfect or not. And actually, we need to find that middle ground where you can still have progress but still enjoy your lives too.
Yeah, it's the idea that your body will measure days and not kind of the calories, and everything we do is about, you know, creating that calorie deficit. If you're wanting to lose weight, it's the only way to do it. So your body doesn't just register that, all right, you ate a cookie, therefore today I'm not going to lose weight. It just registers that you had 150 calories. So it's not like it get, you know, at midnight your body assesses, right, what did I eat? What didn't I eat? How much exercise did I do?
The scale say?
Yeah, am I going to gain? Am I going to lose today? Just think about it, you know, each meal, each day, each week. So you have that excess 150 calories, which is not a massive amount. You know, it depends on kind of where you're starting on your weight. Obviously, if someone's much lighter, then it's kind of a higher percentage of their calories for the day. If someone's much heavier like me, it's a drop in the ocean. But then if you spread that 150 calories out over your week, it's like 20 calories a day, which you just be like, what's that?
Probably my air intake.
Yeah, you know, it's like a teaspoon of ketchup a day or something like that, if that. So just be sensible about your choices. You know, if you make a bit of a slip, don't stress about it. Just make sure that the next meals and the meal after that are good. Don't let one slip go into 2, go into 3, go into 4, because, you know, then thinking, oh, I'll start again tomorrow, it's a new day. Then you've got an excess 1,500 calories, for example. Okay, good. Moving on. Moving on. Right, so this is kind of getting into where you slip up. So what's holding you back? So how many holes in your bucket? So the kind of analogy that I came up with is like, obviously the song "There's a Hole in My Bucket," dear Liza. Joe's going to give us a burst of it now. Quick chorus.
Oh, sorry, I was reading that comment. What was it?
It doesn't matter kind of how much water you put in your bucket. If you've got holes in it of different sizes, the water is going to come out. So you think about the water being whatever diet plan you're on. Think about the holes being where you're struggling. That's what you need to address before you think about putting more water in or a different type of water in. So whether you're doing Slate Watchers, Weight Watchers, Slimming World, you know, Body Coach, you know, even working with us, but obviously we'd help you fix this. You know, keto, paleo, Atkins, yada, yada, yada. These holes in your bucket, these glaringly obvious holes that you've already kind of, some of you flagged up, being weekends, you know, being struggling with food choices, being, you know, snacking on, you know, foods that aren't particularly in line with your goal. That's what needs to be addressed. You know, not looking for a different plan. So Joe used to work in a fish and chip shop back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So if Joe every night got a free portion of fish and chips, and he ate those, and then over the 6 months that he was working there, he slowly gained weight, you wouldn't go to Joe, right, well, I think you need to go onto Slimming World or Weight Watchers or, you know, become keto. You just say, you need to stop eating fucking fish and chips every night, because that is the reason why you gain weight. That's the hole in his bucket. So his diet was fine. He added something. So it's looking for the glaring, obviously, things. There's going to be like specific habits, choices, behaviors that you're doing that have either caused you to gain weight or are stopping you from losing weight. And that's what needs to be addressed. It's not necessarily looking for a new plan. It's not looking for, you know, a restrictive amount or, you know, a set of macros or calories or fasting. It's what are the specific things, choices, habits, you know, behaviors that are holding you back.
And I think the key thing here is knowledge is worthless without action. So often people say stuff like, you know, I know what to do, I just can't do it. So
I really need to.
So you don't need more knowledge. You don't need the perfect meal plan. You need to find the right way for you to action it. So a lady said to me the other day, you know, what is the optimal exercise? And I said, well, it's going to depend on what you can do. And she said, well, I can't leave the house. I have to work from home. So immediately, her question isn't what is the optimal exercise. The question is, what is the optimal exercise for me? And that's why it's so important for us to ask those questions. Because if I said to her, do back squats and deadlifts, well, how's she going to do that without any equipment? So there's different ways around this. And ultimately, the solution has to come from your situation. And that's why you need to find the right way for you to do it, because otherwise it's just not going to work. It's all well and good people finding, you know, if you find food really boring, finding loads of interesting recipes. If you've not got the time to cook them, then that knowledge is useless. You need to find a way that it's going to fit into your life and that you can action this so that you can actually do it longer term, more than just kind of 4 weeks or 13 weeks. Just what you do see so often is people will set a time frame, especially these like 12-week transformations, and then they just blow out at the end because they haven't actually fixed the root of the problem. They've just held their breath for 12 weeks. And what's going to happen when it finishes? You're going to take a lot of air or cheesecake or whatever it is that you've cut out for those 12 weeks.
Chocolate cheesecake. Yeah, so I think just using Joe's example there, where, again, this idea of an approach being too strict or too far removed from what you're used to or able to do is, lots of people think they have to make everything from scratch. They have to prep every single meal. Whereas an example Joe said, if someone's, far too busy to be able to do that, then we need to find a solution that works for them, and be that, using a meal prep company or, having some easy kind of go to low prep, no prep foods, even certain kind of ready meals,
stuff in the freezer, rice packs, cooked meats, there's so many
setting
different
aside
options.
One afternoon where they can batch cook or, like I said, buying stuff in. So it's looking at kind of what are your specific holes, but then, like Joe said, quite often, again, going back to that language part, is people say, I think I should do this, or I should really start doing this. It's like, but what are you actually going to do? And, we've said it before, the odds are, the first thing you try might not work. So emotional eating is a huge issue for a lot of people. Oh. So again, if you're not listening to the podcast, listen to the podcast, because we've got some great suggestions there and some really good feedback on it. But if you, use one of our solutions for the first time, it might not work. It might work, and then further down the line, like Joe said with the adaptive problems, that might not work anymore, so you have to try something else. But unless you come up with a solution, the same behaviors are going to keep on happening. So every time you get upset or, pissed off, angry or bored, you're going to turn to the same behaviors. So it's kind of rerouting those behaviors. That's what you need to do. And that's kind of every problem you have needs to come with a solution. You need to say, next time this happens, I'm going to try this. And then you try it. What worked well? What didn't work well? What am I going to try next time? If it works well, perfect. Keep on with that. If it didn't work well, what are you going to try next time?
Yeah, so if you look at Matt or Matthew's issue before, he'd mentioned about snacking at work. So then we have to look at the different options here. One of the options, so he said he was because he was bored. So is there a solution that doesn't involve food? Is there something else he can do? Can he make it harder for him to go off plan? So move the chocolate away from your desk. Can you make it easier to stay on plan? Eat something else, have some water. There's loads of different options that you've got. I've just listed off 4 things there of move the chocolate, drink some water, do something else, eat something else. You need to then try all these things and see what works. So the same with Sarah. So she said that I don't eat much in the day and then I eat lots in an evening. So then we can try eating more during the day. We can try eating something as soon as you get home or while you're cooking. You can make sure that if you do eat a massive dinner, that it's more lean proteins, veggies and carbs. It's pretty hard to overeat those things and to gain weight. So again, that's 3 things straight away, that they're different options that you can try, but then you need to find the way that's going to work for you. So if I just say to Matt, or if someone said to me, if you're bored at work and eat some fruit, I'm not a massive fruit fan. So it doesn't work if I just take that solution, because it's not something I can stick to. So you need to have people's input. And sometimes when you're coaching people, it's quite hard because they just want to be given the solution. But then how's that going to work long term? You haven't had any buy-in. You haven't been involved in the decision-making process. So it's just a lot less likely to work. And this is the same thing like with kids or with your partner. Involve them in the decision-making process. If your husband or wife or your children are involved in picking the meals, then they're going to be a lot more likely to eat it. That doesn't mean, you go to the supermarket and say, what do you want for dinner on Tuesday? You can say, do you want bolognese or do you want sausage and mash? They then have a very limited choice that you can then still work with. So it's just trying to find these different little techniques and these different tactics that we've, gained from doing this for the last 7 years, doing Sustain for the last 3 and reading around this. There's always a solution to your problems. And if you go in with that mindset, then you can be successful and you can plug those holes in your bucket. Whereas if you just assume that's the way it is, then those holes are never going to get fixed and you're always going to struggle.
Yeah. So like I say, make a list of your obstacles, the holes, make a list of those, and then make a list of the solutions that you're going to try next. And like I said, those solutions are going to keep on changing. You're going to have to try different things. But like, so for Matt, who says, he snacks, he works in an office, sat at a PC all day, snacks are things like chocolate bars, etc. Then look for the reason why you're snacking, because he said he's not snacking because he's hungry. So is it going to be a habit? Is it because he's bored? So would just getting up and going for a little bit of a walk help? Is it?
I think he said boredom, to be fair.
Right, yeah. So, so how can you kind of hijack? So the trigger is boredom. The action is you eat chocolate. The reward is you're mildly entertained by eating the chocolate. So what can you do that's a different action that has the same reward? So you always start off with a trigger, then you'll go into the action, which is going to be the kind of the habit that you do, but then there's always a set reward to it. So if it's boredom, then it's kind of slightly entertaining, eating something.
So it's a distraction, isn't it?
Yeah. So could you distract yourself by doing something else, by going for a quick 5-minute walk, or just taking a break from work, or like Joe said, eating something else, which is going to be a slightly better choice for your goals. So you have your obstacles, you need your solutions, and because it's always good to look at what the trigger is, why you're doing these certain things that kind of holding you back. So another just quick one, easy one. Weekends are a real struggle for people. You think you work Monday to Friday, you get up, you have your breakfast, you go to work, you might have a break at the start, a midday break or whatever. Then you have your lunchtime, so then you eat your lunch, then you finish work, you come home, you have your dinner, you watch the chase. I watch a lot of chase.
I hope it is going somewhere.
Whatever, but it's very, very routine. You're set in a routine. So when it comes to the weekend, people have no routine. So they wake up, they might kind of dilly-dally around, they might have a bit of a brunch, then they might go out for a meal, or kind of go into the town and go shopping and then eat something on the fly. You might get to that weekend and feel that you need a reward. So these are all kind of things that are your obstacles. So it's just figuring out. So, if the lack of routine, lack of structure on a weekend is your issue, then look at putting some structure in there. Like, it's not like you have to get up at 7 and have your breakfast, make sure you have your lunch at 12, but put some kind of routine in there so you know what or where you're going to eat.
Making it easier to stay on plan. So just having some idea of what you're going to do. So whether it's going to be having some cooked food in the fridge, or just deciding, if you're out in Leeds or another city near you, then where can you eat from?
Another city.
There's so many ways to find sustain friendly food. One of my clients said she was going to Center Parcs, and she was really worried. In the first 4 restaurants that I picked out, even the Pancake Shack at Center Parcs, you can eat well at if you get an omelette with a side salad. There's always solutions. It's just finding them. Who would have thought that you could get a sustain friendly meal at a Pancake Shack?
And again, when we say sustain friendly, that means it's going to be proteins and veg and some healthy fats. It's not the be all and end all. Our system is there to help you create a calorie deficit. It doesn't mean, again, if you eat a cream egg, that you're going to gain weight. It just means it's not the best use. Going back to that kind of holiday budget analogy, it's not the best use of your calorie budget. It's kind of frittered quite a bit of it away when you could have got something else.
But it's not the end of the world either.
Yeah, so but it's not the end of the world. No one gained weight from eating a cream egg. Eat 6, then you might have some issues. So the solution.
Kind of covered it a bit there, haven't we already?
Yeah, our solution is basically, this is how you can start implementing this straight now. Is start logging your food. Now, we don't mean necessarily on kind of MyFitnessPal. You don't have to enter all the calories. You can do if you want, but it's a massive ball ache for most people.
How many parsnips did I eat?
Yeah, it's a real kind of pain in the ass. So just literally write down the foods that you eat. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, your snacks, your water, whatever other drinks you have. Do that for a week. Do it for 2 weeks. Whatever you mean. You don't have to alter anything, but this is going to help kind of flag up certain areas where you're struggling. It's going to flag up possible areas of improvement as well. So if we go back to when people are kind of dieting, or even for ease, people might have a smoothie for breakfast and then a salad for lunch or soup for lunch. And then when they're on the way home, they're absolutely starving. So they call in at the drive-thru and get the new Big Mac with bacon.
Mm.
Not tried it yet. I'm not going to try it. I can imagine what it tastes like.
Probably tastes like a Big Mac with bacon on.
Yeah. So then that's going to be something, to flag up, because your breakfast and your lunch were not substantial enough to see you through to your dinner. Or you go, right, I really enjoy my breakfast, I really enjoy my lunch. Right. So then take a snack for midday. So you're not going to be starving on the way home. You're not going to make that poor choice.
It nearly always stems for me from putting more nutritious food in. So when you see people go off plan, there's nearly always a trigger before it. So people often say, well, I'll just try harder and not have a Big Mac. But that's not you're painting the leaves green. You're not
making it easy for yourself.
Yeah. So the whole thing is always to make it easier for yourselves to stay on plan, make it harder to go off plan. And then you're just accumulating all those minor differences, those little details. They're going to make it easier to stay on plan. So put more nutritious food in. Don't worry so much about whether you're overdoing your sweet potatoes and your nut butter to start with, because it's just so much harder to overdo. Once you start being consistent with hitting the 9s and 10s out of 10, you'll just see progress nearly always it's very hard to think of an example. I can think of a couple of people who've not made progress in doing that. The numbers are so small from the thousands we've worked with. So just start from there and then work on gradually trying to improve, taking out the high calorie stuff. Because I work with most of the tasters, there's not enough protein, there's not enough veg. These are the two things that keep you fullest for the fewest calories. It really is that simple. The fat loss is really, really simple, but doesn't mean it's easy. You just need to find those foods that work for you and how to get them in easily, and then do it consistently. And that's ultimately where we help, because we've got the education side, so we can look at your food and say, this isn't working quite so well, so this would help you. And then the accountability to do it. If you do know what to do, then why aren't you doing it? For a lot of people, it can be because they just need that extra support. They need someone to guide them and to be accountable to. There's a lot of my clients who have lost weight, kept it off with us, then gone away on their own and said, a month later, I'm struggling a bit, and then you can come back. There's loads of different ways, different services that we offer to help people do this longer term.
Yeah, it's just simple tweaks that, from a coaching point of view, like say, me and Joe have got 15 years combined experience working with clients, 3.5 years of seeing food diaries every single day for 3.5 years, 7 days a week. So we can see what's going on, where people are going to slip, when people are making things harder for themselves. So people often try and rely on things like willpower. Willpower is just so fickle, it's going to come and go.
Absolutely.
So eating more nutritious food, so our kind of habits are eat, protein source 3 times a day, vegetables twice a day. Like Joe said, those are massively undereaten, and they're going to cause you to get hungry if you don't eat these things, or they're going to prevent hunger if you do eat them. So you got to think, like a steak pie or a creamy chicken and mushroom pie. Yeah, delicious, but it's going to be high calories due to the pastry, due to the cream, etc. Now, if you've just eaten a big sirloin steak with sweet potato wedges and asparagus, are you going to want to then eat that pie, even though it was attractive to you when you were hungry? So just by kind of improving the foods that you're eating, staying fuller for longer, but because the food's so nutrient dense, it's actually going to bring the calories down. So like I said, a steak, sweet potato, asparagus, compared to a meal deal, it's going to be massively different. Something if you have like a chicken and stuffing sandwich, I'm just throwing this out there, packet of crisps and then a soft drink or even some kind of like chocolate bar, the calories are going to be very, very high. The nutrition is going to be very, very low. It's not going to be very filling at all. So you're going to end up consuming more calories. So when people say eat more and lose more, you can do that if you change the kind of the nutrient density of your food. And that's what we're all about, is kind of promoting people eating real food that's delicious, family friendly, so you can give it to your fussy kids. But it's also going to help them lose weight whilst feeling fuller. You get people often who come and say, I can't believe I'm losing weight whilst eating so much.
The big thing for me is with getting that nutritious food, and is what it does for your cravings and what it does for making it easier to stay on plan. Yeah, because it keeps your blood sugar more stable. And 80% of binges are caused by low blood sugar, my favorite fact. So why are you not putting more of these foods in? It's just so important. I just could not, if I could detail the number of people who get low protein and veg in their first week, it'd be 99.
It's just 95%, so filling. Yeah. So filling, so low calorie.
So people often say, I crave sweet things after dinner. You just need to wait a little bit. If you eat a big nutritious meal, your blood sugar will rise, you will feel better, your brain will become a lot less desperate for these foods. It just makes all the world of difference.
So again, we're not saying that you can never eat chocolate or a slice of apple pie, or apple crumble.
Not for me.
Pie or crumble?
Nah.
Loser.
Neither. Apples.
But the more kind of good days or good meals or good food that you put into your body, the less the kind of apple crumbles, apple slices will affect you. It's very easy to kind of factor these foods in if you're doing, kind of 9-10 days of really, really good food. Instead of that kind of compound effect of having a packet of crisps on a Monday and then a bar of chocolate on a Tuesday and then 2 glasses of wine on a Wednesday. People think these are small things, but you're getting like, 100, 200, 300 calories per day adding up over 7 days. And what is that for the end of the month, end of the week? It's a big old total. It will make a difference. It might be like eating an extra day and a half's worth of food. But if you have, if you feel like you want to treat on a weekend, then we can help tailor your day by just cutting back on some of the other meals. But it's only by kind of seeing what people are eating that we can give that kind of more tailored advice.
Yeah, you just need to choose what you really enjoy. And the thing James mentions there is people have these little treats throughout the week, don't actually add anything to their
Yeah,
lives.
they don't mean anything.
Yeah, and then you get to the weekend, they want to have a meal out or a few drinks with their friends or their partner or whatever, and then suddenly they don't have the calorie room. Whereas if you have 5 days that are really good, you're going to have more wiggle room on a weekend. So it's trying to choose what actually you really enjoy and finding a way to make that work.
Yeah, so let's just go back to Matthew's example. So if he's eating 1 or 2 chocolate bars a day, so that's 10 over Monday to Friday, say like 8 to 10, which don't really add anything to him, but he's just eating them because he's bored, that's going to make a bigger impact on his possible results that week, as opposed to if he went out for a nice meal or, went to the Kitty Cafe in Leeds, had coffee and a slice of cake with, one of his kids or with a partner or even with a friend. That slice of cake is kind of, it's not necessary, but it's adding to your life. It's adding to the experience of it. And those are the kind of calories you want to keep in. And then you can get rid of the ones that don't really mean anything, the kind of the silly little choices that you make. If you can clean those up, then you can kind of keep the ones that actually add something to you instead of going too strict and all or nothing.
Good.
And again. There we go. So,
that's the thing from before.
Huh?
We've just gone through that, haven't we?
Yeah. So I just put this because it was loads of L's. So you want to log it to lose it. So that's what I said. Is just kind of log all your food, and then you can see what's going on. If you don't have a record, like we said before, it's very easy for people to go like, "Oh, my food's been pretty good," and we're both guilty of this when we're PTing. Is you see someone for 1 hour a week, you might say to them, you might have given them a food plan back then or given them some advice. How's your food been? Yeah, it's been pretty good. Like, you're only going to highlight the bits that you do well. You're not necessarily going to remember 2 for Tuesdays or whatever.
I eat pretty well, but
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, have a good breakfast, have a good lunch. Dinner's usually pretty bad. Or, Monday to Friday afternoon's really good, and then I have a couple of bottles of wine, and then I have a takeaway, and then we have a meal out, and then I'm hungover on a Saturday, so then I have a fry up. So if you've got like a black and white record, then you can see exactly what's going on, and then you can look to adjust from there. You can kind of see what behaviors, what choices you're making, and possibly identify why. So that's the kind of look and learn, is see what's going on. And like I said before, look at why these choices are being made. Is it because of hunger? Is it because of habit? Is it, for a certain reward? What can you learn from it? And then you can kind of build your blueprint as to what you're going to try next time. But it's only once we log these things, instead of just accepting them, like you get a lot of people just go, terrible day yesterday, I'm not going to log it. Tomorrow's a new day. Going to draw a line under it and move on. What's your analogy, Joe?
If your child or spouse came back from work and said, I punched someone in the face today, but I'm not going to worry about it, I'm just going to move on. Tomorrow's a new day.
Hopefully it won't happen again.
You would not just say, oh, that's cool. That makes perfect sense. Let's not think about why you just punched someone in the face. If you make a mistake or you go wrong, then you need to look at why this has happened and then what you're going to do differently next time and to try and fix your problems. If you just ignore your problems, they're not going to go away.
Yeah, it's just going to keep on cycling. Tomorrow's a new day only if you try something different. Live to be logical. Just be sensible. Just eat like an adult. If you have a biscuit, or if you choose to have a biscuit, that's cool. It's not a failure. And this is going right back to the start when I said you need to find something that fits your life. So wine is highly calorific. Chocolate is highly calorific. But is it, sensible for you to go for the next 13 weeks, I'm not going to eat chocolate? Don't you pipe up. If it's not going to be, and you're going to get 2 weeks in and then you're going to have a massive kind of Willy Wonka chocolate binge, then that's not the right approach for you. If eating, 25 grams of chocolate 3 times a week keeps you on your plan, keeps you going on track for 12 to 13 weeks, then that should be your plan. If drinking a couple of glasses of wine on a weekend keeps you happy, and you're never going to be like, oh, I can't drink any wine for 3 months, then do that. If you really want to have toast for breakfast, do that, but we can look at improving that meal and making it a little bit better, a little bit more in line with your goals. It's finding what works for you and just being logical about it. Like I said, lots of people will get to the weekend and go, oh, I'm a massive failure, I drank 2 glasses of wine. Right. If you'd have planned to have 2 glasses of wine and gone, this weekend I'm going to have 2 glasses of wine, I'm going to adjust my food accordingly, I'm going to do a bit more extra, a little bit of extra walking, then that wouldn't be a failure. That would be a massive success because you've stuck to your plan. So just be logical. Like I say, if you make a mistake, cool, I made a mistake, I'm going to make sure I don't make another one. The next meal, I'm going to learn from this, I'm going to look at it, And it is uncomfortable sometimes to look at, where you've messed up, where you've not done what you said you were going to do. But if you don't learn from it, then it's just going to keep on continuing. Moving on. And again, these are some of our clients that we've used these kind of techniques with and got like ridiculous results. And again, this is not us meeting people. This is all online. So Ali Cat, super singer. Did you see her singing at Heathrow? No, you didn't.
I've seen that.
Yeah. I've gained a love of exercise, increased self-confidence. I actually don't mind what I see in the mirror now. So massive kind of mindset shift. Like I said, I think a lot of people focus on the weight loss, but it's why you want to lose that weight. You want to feel a certain way, and look a certain way. It's not necessarily the weight that's going to do that. And then Rebecca, old Zimmer. I don't feel deprived of that I'm on a diet because I really enjoy the food that I'm eating and still have regular meals out or the occasional drink. So again, it's finding what works for you. And this is why we don't give prescriptive meal plans, because it's not your choice. And the foods that me and Joe like, you might not like. So it's giving you, and then again, you can go out for meals, you can grab food on the fly. It's very, very easy. Instead of it's Tuesday, it's 3 o'clock, I must eat, a Bassa fillet with 125 grams of asparagus and 1 red pepper. It's not realistic, for most people who are kind of time poor, even like us, it's not going to happen. Where if I just say to you, right, for this meal, I want you to hit, lean protein and some vegetables. It's very, very open, and that could be made up of whatever you wanted, chicken, turkey, low-fat beef, tuna, corn, tofu, tempeh, whatever you want. Yes? So, what have you learned? What is the biggest take-home for you guys? We'll wind it up now. So we want to know what you've heard, what's made sense to you, what you've taken away from this.
What did you find particularly useful?
Yeah, or, kind of interesting, or it's confirmed something that you thought, or maybe it's, a new piece of information for you.
Grab a drink.
You go grab a drink, Joseph. Oh, Fenton, you comfy down there, buddy? You come to join us. Fenton normally sleeps in the radiators. Yeah, so we've just been spouting off for 50 minutes. What have you heard? Kind of what's the biggest take home for you? Oh, bloody. He needs a haircut.
He does rather.
Here he is. Here he is. It's time to shine. Oh, he's all sleepy. No time to shine. Right, we're not moving on until we've had some comments.
Don't say 6.
That is belly rumbling on yours.
His. We believe.
Come on, don't leave us here singing and dancing with Fenton. Here we go. Okay, though, I need to set a routine for my meals so I know what I'm eating, and then when I can look at what's gone wrong. Yes, cool. So again, that's what's going to work for you. So Joe, you kind of plan your meals, don't you? Joe does
I know exactly what I eat.
Joe does a lot of batch cooking, knows exactly what he's eating, where I kind of go a little bit more on the fly. I'll go maybe like day to day, or I know what I'm having for my breakfast, I know what I'm having for my meals during the day, but then my dinner I'll have with my wife, so it might be slightly different because she might cook or I might cook, so it just depends. Get more organized, especially over the weekend. Yeah, Catherine, so if the weekend's a struggle for you, then getting into some kind of routine or having, like I say, it doesn't have to be like, I'm going to have this at this time, being super, super specific, but just having an idea of what you're going to have. You read one?
You talking to Fenton?
No.
This could take a while. It confirmed how I just call it all or nothing approach and not logging the bad days. I'll start again tomorrow. Really is. I need to start learning from logging. 100% is that without that logging, then it's really, really hard for you to learn anything because we're just not looking at the problems. And as James mentioned, it's uncomfy stuff to look at why you're not doing something when it's so important to you and it's really hard. But it's like going to a counsellor and just sitting there and being silent. You'll only get anything from either doing it on your own or working with us by looking at why you're struggling and finding the right solutions to it.
I'm going to say, and I just think, not logging the bad days, like I say, you're looking to create a calorie deficit, you're looking to save calories. If you're looking to save money and each month you didn't, you'd look at what was going on, where were you spending this money, what was going on, were you, buying expensive coffees or ongoing subscriptions, whatever it was, you'd need to address that. So you would look at your bank statements and see where you were kind of spending this money. So it's just the same thing, looking at your food, right? Where am I going wrong? Where am I losing things?
So someone said the determination of my triggers in order to stop snacking on crap, maybe to take in some eggs or something similar to work. Exactly.
There you go, yeah.
It's something so simple sometimes.
Everyone will thank you for bringing boiled eggs into the office.
Take mackerel in and reheat it.
Yeah, put it in the micro.
If you think about how many calories you probably take in from that chocolate, then that can suddenly be a huge calorie save. You know, so James mentioned that I prep all my food. Is that my adjustment last week was just bringing down my portions of rice. You know, it doesn't have to always be these huge life-changing changes of tide that bring about results. Sometimes it's the smaller things that can have actually quite a dramatic impact. So give it a go and see. If it doesn't work, try something else and keep looking at what you're doing wrong. One of the things that you see often is people say, I've made all these changes and I've not made any progress. And it's frustrating. We totally appreciate that. But you can only work with what you've got in front of you.
Yeah, and that's the positive as well.
It's no good if Sandra from HR has lost 15 stone in the last 6 months, because it doesn't matter what happens to other people. You just need to look at what you can do and what you can control. So keep logging your food, and then you can keep looking at what needs to change.
Yeah, it's interesting. I put up like kind of a joke post the other day, like saying about the difference between men and women on a diet. And like a guy will cut out the full fat milk in his coffee and lose a stone in a week, whereas a woman will do like I had a list of things. And she'll lose a pound, and the amount of women that commented going, oh, this is so true, this is so frustrating. It doesn't matter what other progress people are making. You've got to stay in your own lane. You know, you've got to just concentrate on you. Like I said, if you go and run a marathon, you don't get pissed off that other people are faster than you. You just accept it. Some people are better runners than you. Some people have, trained more than you. You don't get annoyed. You just concentrate on crossing that finish line when you cross it. You don't get pissed off that people are in front of you. You don't feel buzzing because people are behind you. You're not going to be like, yeah, passed another one. Just concentrate on you. Yes.
So last one then. So from Vicky here, not even a plant, I don't believe, but she said, I love that staying keeps life real and lets you plan for what each individual likes. I don't think it's the end of the end if you have a crumble. I was going to say it's not the end of the rocky road. It's the end if you have a crumble or rocky road on holiday. You can pull it back the next few days back on plan. Feel so much more in control if you have a slip up and think it's the end of the world.
Bosh.
Exactly. So you just need to be realistic with yourself, and it's so often
sensible.
The thing about separating fact from emotion, the fact is you had a rocky road or a crumble. You can then decide whether that was a small blip and it's worth ignoring or just not being too stressed about or do something differently next time. Or you can tell yourself it's the end of the world and that you've completely ruined your diet and you best give up now and avoid all hopes of ever being healthy and fit and, whatever emotions you're going to get from it. It's very hard. So a lot of people, their default setting is to be very emotive, but it's just being aware of how much control you have. I think I mentioned it in a few of the things we've done. Is that when I was younger and people said, you can choose if someone's nasty to you to be upset by it or not. And I just thought, no, you can't. You're always going to be angry. And then I kind of looked at it a bit more and thought, no, you do actually have control of this. It's just something that you need to work on. You'll have your instinctive reactions and then you just need to question them. And that's only going to get better with time. You don't want to be one of those people who just loses their shit at every turn for the rest of your life. So work on it and it'll gradually get better.
Yeah, you got to chill out, relax.
Might stop me having a heart attack before I'm 40, but we'll see.
Probably not.
Dubious.
So if you've not worked with us before, you can jump on one of our Kickstarters. So basically, we give you a 7-day kind of trial of the coaching where you'll work one-on-one with one of us two, more than likely Joe at the moment, where you'll check in each day and then we'll be able to see. So you'll keep that food log and we'll be able to look and see what's going on and offer you suggestions. You can kind of bounce off ideas of where you struggle as well. So we can kind of set up and work more proactively instead of reactively. So we'll mentor and coach you through every phase. Like I said, this is a real taste of the kind of the full coaching plan. So you get mentored for the full week, every single day, where we'll kind of walk you through our entire system that we use with our clients to get the support, guidance, accountability you need to crush, and you go through all your usual obstacles. The access to our simple, easy, proven plan, learn tactics, tricks, and methods used by thousands of people just like you, able to crush their goals and get the results they control and control their desire. And then we'll work on your mindset as well. So like I said, we've got a ton of free resources. If you've not checked out the podcast, then I definitely recommend checking out those. We've got ones about kind of mistakes that people make on diets, tips for emotional eating, tips for training, and all sorts of stuff. You good?
Yeah, happy.
But that's us, guys. So thank you very much for joining us. Now, it takes about 10 minutes for me to turn this off. If you've got any questions, then just drop us an email at james@sustainnutrition.co.uk or joe@sustainnutrition.co.uk, and we will get back to you.
If you have worked with us before, then we will be sending out information about how you can do so again at a slight discount too.
Cool. Right. Thank you very much again for joining us. We really do appreciate it. We're off back to work.
Enjoy your day.
Now.